I'd also like to thank you, Mr. Chairman, for convening these hearings, because I think the subject is quite important, and for inviting me to testify. The views I'm expressing are mine. They don't adhere to IPCC, and they don't reflect Princeton University's either. IPCC has served a critical function in providing governments regular assessments of the consensus view in the scientific community on the state of the science of climate change. I've served as an author of every IPCC assessment report since the first one in 1990, and also one special report. I'm currently the coordinating lead author of Chapter 19 for the Working Group 2 report. Although I found participating in IPCC to be personally and professionally rewarding, I've never hesitated to provide constructive public criticism of IPCC when I thought it was warranted. It's to IPCC's credit that those who have been critical, even severely so, are invited to continue and even enhance their participation. And the smears that Richard talks about do not reflect IPCC practice, nor the practice of most of the people involved in IPCC. As to author selection, names of potential authors are suggested by governments to IPCC. The U.S. has an open selection process that allows anyone to propose a name, including their own. All names are forwarded by the U.S. government to IPCC, which evaluates the suggestions in light of professional expertise and the need for balance in terms of national representation, institutional affiliation, and expertise. For example, most authors come from universities, governments, and private research institutions, but their affiliations range broadly in the past, from ExxonMobil on the one hand to Greenpeace on the other. Several studies have compared projections of IPCC reports to actual outcomes in the real world, providing a basis to assess the claims of bias. Overall, if there is a significant bias, it reflects the professional caution of scientists. Note that the assessments by the U.S. National Academy of Sciences and other major national academies around the world have arrived at judgments which are materially the same as IPCC's. As to the review process, each report consists of chapters that go through 3 levels of comprehensive review, further reducing the potential for bias. I am not aware of any scientific review process which approaches IPCC's in thoroughness. For example, over 50,000 review comments were received, but from over 1,700 reviewers of the Working Group 2 report this time. Distinct from most peer-reviewed journals, the review process is fairly transparent, with review comments and author responses actually posted for public consumption. A key role is played by the so-called review editors, who are independent experts who review the responses that the chapters make to each and every of those review comments and assure that the reviews are responded to appropriately. As for the summary for policymakers, each working group report has a summary. It's intended for policymakers. Each SPM, as it's called, goes through 2 rounds of peer review. It's then reviewed at a plenary session with governments word by word. The objective of the approval process is to assure that it's clear and that it is accurate and that it's relevant to policy. The scientists who exercise an effective veto power over everything that goes into the SPM. Nothing can be inserted that is not scientifically accurate. But no statement that the scientists who were present at the review session consider to be factually untrue and not representative of the science can survive. On the plus side, this process results in a clearer document and, importantly, one that the governments accept as their own, including the U.S., and including under all administrations. In this way, it is distinct from any other climate assessment performed by any other organization. On the negative side, in my view and the view of many of my colleagues, there have been occasions when government intervention by causing omissions have diluted IPCC findings. However, my belief is that the process on the whole has reflected what's in the reports underneath in the chapters and have made them on the whole clearer and more understandable, and even in some cases more accurate. My suggestions for improving the IPCC process are similar to Richard's: more transparency, publish more frequent but much briefer reports, open the plenaries to the press so that shenanigans like went on in the recent plenary session of Working Group 3 are less likely to happen because the public will be watching, and experiment with other types of assessment processes like a formalized expert elicitation or the Team B approaches that the Defense Department uses. I found some of what Richard said to be a cartoon of the assessment process, but we can talk about that in questions. In the end, the world needs an IPCC. IPCC needs to continually improve its performance. To meet that need, our ability to deal with the risk of climate change depends on it. Thank you.